And there we, Arti.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim, and everybody else for the previous session. I think it was such a wonderful weaving and tabling of our status quo in the world, culturally, emotionally, spiritually, historically, futuristically. And to tie that all together for us, because something out, and that word just sort of stuck with me was wonderment. And when I was introduced to Jean here by Majida, he sent me a list of certain items and a couple of text messages. And the thing that stood out for me was what Jean is going to talk about actually conveys the spirit of wonderment, right? So I bring to you something from the heart and history of Africa, a form of expression that is slowly dying in the world in spirit and in function. And this form carries a function, a very meaningful, purposeful function. And I'm not even, an iota qualified to even introduce Jean, because who he is just so gorgeous and so grand. And it is so real that I'm, again, like the last Connectathon, I'm here to learn from him. So, Jean, welcome to this beautiful session. And I hand the mic back to you. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself and this beautiful, rare form of expression called Kasala.
Thank you very much, Arti. Um, I must tell you that I didn't go to Africa for 20 years. I arrived in Belgium when I was 10, and when I was almost 32, 33, I traveled to Africa. And my mother told me that I'd been too long in Europe and that it was time for me to know my name, to know who I am. I thought my name was Jean Kabuta, but I discovered that it was much more complex. It took approximately 4 hours for, to the poet to tell me my name. What was the idea? The idea was that for having stayed so long in the West, I'd forgotten who I am. I'd forgotten my name. It was necessary to tell me my name again. It was also necessary to reconnect me with my people, my parents, my ancestors, my country, and everything. And also to connect me with myself. But because staying too long in the West was the same thing as staying too long in the bush. And where you stay in the bush, you forget who you are, you forget even your name, you forget where you come from, and so on. And that was very interesting for me because I was still in the time when I believed Europe was the ideal place to be. I'd been conditioned during colonization time that the model society was the Western society, and I discovered that that wasn't the case for my mother. For my mother, the West was a place where the person forgets themselves when you get lost. You don't know who you are, and you get disconnected with yourself. And the idea is that the human being needs to stop from time to time to allow their soul to join them. And that's the meaning of the ritual. The ritual is the time when we stop, we allow ourselves to become one thing, a unity. And when we are in that state, we can function optima,
Optimally, yes, optimally.
optimally. Okay.
Yes.
So I was at that time quite proud because I'd been studying Germanic languages and all of these things from very ancient European civilization, and I thought I was, a bit special because other Africans didn't do that kind of studies. But then I was really made aware that I was really lost. I didn't know anything from Africa and didn't know the history, the geography, and so on. So I listened very carefully to what was told to me. And then poets came and started telling me who I am. And I thought that it would take a few minutes, but it took 4 hours, to tell me my names. So I learned that I was not only Jean Kabuta, I was Kabuta ngelenjibe nzolo munyenga mpasu mokwanda bwa munyembwa wa mulichonga chilongani monya nyembwa akabandi banyana anu badyunde kibabanda banda. So rhythmic for 4 hours. I was literally amazed, and put back at my real place. So the place of the ignorant person. And it was very good, for me. And I was then told that that kind of text that had been recited for me was called Kasala. So that was just the introduction. Now let me, introduce myself, and therefore I've taken a text translated into English. So you will better understand the message and the meanings and so on. Here I am, Jean Kabuta, Semzara Kabuta. I'm brown and rose. I am colorless. I'm a man and a woman. I am genderless. I swim in the sea with the fishes. I fly in the air with the birds. My branches are in Europe, in the Kingdom of Belgium, the tiny Belgium that shines brightly in the center of Europe, with glittering highways and railways, waterways and skyways, with houses and roads and webs under the ground, under the rivers, the tiny Belgium that once owned territories 100 times bigger than herself. My roots are in Central Africa, in the DRC, the land of uncountable species of trees and flowers and animals and jewels, the land of small and big women, small and big men, with myriads of promising kids, outnumbering the departing old, with life unceasingly regenerating in music, dance, and color. I'm the hearer who hears sounds from all over the cosmos. I hear messages from Africa, from Asia, from Europe, from everywhere. I hear messages from the sky, from the sea, from the underworld. I read signs written across the wooden door, the metal door. I am the seer who sees lights through thick walls. I was born a few seasons after the Second World War. I was born in the rainy season when the maize was this high. I am the son of Kambala Chikengele and Ndaya Lufuluabo, two marvelous members of the universe bright self, the universal bright self, who combined their noblest energies to give me life, so that Kabuta Beni, the ancient, may live again, so that the Supreme Spirit's word may be fulfilled, that life should be transmitted from generation to generation, that life energy should be increased and increased and increased in order to fulfill the sacred word, that sacred, the sacred breath. In Africa, they say, I am because we are. And since we are, I am. In Africa, they say, man is man thanks to other men, to other people. This is the royal way that brings man to Ubuntu, Ubuntu, the land of peace and harmony, where light and joy and eternity are shared. I went through initiation upon initiation. I was admitted in the highest initiation school. I was welcomed in the new dimensions, the new order, where yesterdays and tomorrows are unknown. I was not alone when I went through the initiation into the art of celebrating life, into the Kasala. I was with Rugirabiose, the bright-eyed witness, who teaches young and old how to travel on earth and reach happiness. Among her innumerable names, she is the teacher that teaches the three major arts: the art of being humble, the art of marveling, the art of being human. Let her rise and enjoy a new day, a renewed chance for dancing, for laughing, for loving. I am a fish, a bird, rock, guided by loving and generous universe, guided by otherness, beauty, and love, which dwell in me. A Moabit tree deeply rooted in the earth to suck the white milk, a bodied tree thickly lived in the air to capture the infinite sky. Jean Kabuta Ntalajamatanda, I am the one who creates himself. There I am.
This is such a beautiful example of defining identity in a world that's losing it.
Mhm.
These are the lenses, the parameters of what identities are. And this is cultural, this is generational, this is rich, this is heritage. Thank you so much, John, for this. This is lovely. So,
Welcome.
so tell us, is Kasala, does it have other forms, other versions, other types? Is there a theme, a commonality to Kasala, or is there a variation in there?
Yeah, there are very many variations. Uh, you could have the kasala um, of death or funeral. It is performed at funerals or when a child is born, when there's a wedding. When it means that it's an art form that's used to stress the transitions of life. So it's necessary to stop from time to time, as I said before, so that we can come to see where we come from, when we, so that we can be reconfigured again, reunited again, and so that we gain a new energy to go forward. There's the kasala of the person you don't like. There's a proverb that says, if you don't like the hair I think the wording exists in English. You must at least admit that it runs uh, quickly, you know. So even if you don't like your enemy, you must admit that he has or they have qualities. So
Right.
that's the kasala of the enemy. Uh, you have the kasala of um, the anger. We call it the vital anger. When you come across a difficult situation, an acceptable uh, situation that's not acceptable, well, there's something in you that refuses. You know, we call it the Kasala of, in French, we say the Kasala de la colère vitale. You know, uh, so you can you're expected to be kind with the people, to be loving, and so on, but there are unacceptable situations and you have to react, you know, to refuse, so that your dignity is saved, or your people's dignity, and you must be able to die, you know, to protect your dignity. So it's a type of kasala. There's a kasala that is a kasala form that is performed to uh, to accompany people to the war. Of course, as a human being, you are scared. You think that you're going to die, but there's something stronger, uh, something that urges you to accept death instead of just how can I express it? You can't you can't allow the other people, you know, to spoil your life. So any situations where you can stand up, uh, some of the very important situations for which the Kasala is sung. So there are very many different forms. You have the Kasala of the nature, the Kasala of the worm, the Kasala of the trees. You know, all these are aspects of marveling. Now, here's another example of because I don't know whether you see this text, Arti, what is
Um,
with the title, what is contemporary Kasala?
yes, yes.
Uh,
Would you want to read that out, or would you want me to project this on the screen?
well, if you can project it, it would be
Okay,
better.
okay, let me get to it. All
Yeah.
right, not a, I'll just get to it. But in the meantime, also tell us that is this a practice that's from Africa alone, or do you think that there are parallels as well in the world?
The practice of um, expressing wonderment
Mhm.
is, of course, universal. But in Africa, they have developed a specific art form
Mhm.
to express uh, all variations of wonderment, uh, expressing your wonderment for life under its different aspects. Here is a good example. As for me, I'm the twilight Niger. I'm also Africultor, a farmer who makes the best of Africa grow wherever he passes. Once a wise child shaped by the missionary, Today, I'm a wild child who is constantly improving, an heir to the suffering endured by my foremothers and forefathers, indignant at injustice and violence here among us or elsewhere. Ntalajamatanda, the peacemaker, I am also the spiny kapok tree. Whoever rubs against it pricks himself. So the meaning is only that, of course, the ideal for a human being is being loving and so on, but he must refuse, a negative situation and so on. But one cannot forget that human being is always ready to react, to take the place, to be respected by the other person. My name, I am Jandi the Healer, native of vast Pan-Africa that stretches from Mother Africa, rich in resources, promises, and life, to the Caribbean, Afro-American, and Afropean diaspora, people of mixed heritage, heralding a humanity in full health. I fiercely defend the dignity of humankind. I bring my contribution to the creation of a gentler world for every human being, a world where harmony reigns, where everyone feels like singing, dancing, loving, unfolding, a world where the human being is the foremost value. I don't know whether, Arti, do you think you can read the part in yellow?
All right, let me give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Jandi the Healer from the vast Pan-Africa that stretches from Mother Africa, full of resources, full of promises and life, to the African American, Afro-European, and Caribbean diaspora, a mixed population that promises a humanity in great health. Shall I continue?
The idea of great health is central to the Kasala. What are the poets trying to achieve, to reach, is a better, we call it great health. In French, we call it grande santé. It's a way of living in harmony with yourself and also with the nature, with the environment. And it's also an effort to have une bonne santé mentale, a good mental health. You see, and this is one of the main purpose of the Kasalas is to maintain human being in good mental health. So the population which is open, which mixes with other, of course, is stronger, and that's what is one of the aspects, one of the meanings of the great health or grande santé in French. I have a key for identifying wounds, transgenerational traumas, and for blocking their harmful, disabling transmission. That is the Kasala of self-critique. So this is a type of Kasala. You are encouraged to critique yourself, to be objective with yourselves. The Kasala of constructive self-mockery and of the future. So you can even laugh of yourself. You can't laugh of other people, but of yourself. So, for instance, I'm not tall. So, in some of my kasalas, you will hear me say, I'm the one. When he stands, you think he's sitting or he's kneeling, and you laugh of yourself without destroying yourself. It's just a way of taking, a distance from yourself, of not reducing yourself to your aspect, because you are much more than that. So it is a type of Kasala. There's Kasala of the future. In the Kasala, we are counting qualities and so on. We are talking about heroes and so on. But the idea is to encourage the person to become a better person. It is as though you were required every day to be a better person than yesterday. You see? So all the things you are telling about yourselves are just, it's just a program, are just things you want to reach in the future. So even when people speak about the past, uh, it is always oriented to the future. Today, become a better person than yesterday. And every day, like that, improving yourself, so that when you die, you have improved yourself so much that you become a perfect, um, I don't know the word for engrais in English.
Mm.
Engrais, the substance you use to help plant grow.
Oh, manure, or I don't know.
You put it in the ground and it
Yeah,
helps the,
manure.
Compost?
Manure.
Compost?
yeah,
Compost?
compost. So all these products that help plant grow. Well, you make
Fertilizer, manure,
the
even.
fertilizer. You make of yourself the best fertilizer possible for other lives to grow out of you. You see, and that's why it's difficult. It's and you must do that every day until your last day. That's the invitation that's made through the Kasala. As well, the Kasala that teaches the corrected and glorious history of Black people. And this is quite a new type of Kasala. As you know, we Africans have been trained for centuries to think that we had no history, that our history began with colonization or with the slave traders and so on. But there's a form of Kasala that teaches history. So what African people have achieved in the past before the colonizer come and so on. So it's a type of Kasala. That is so as well the Kasala that teaches the corrected and glorious history of Black people. So this is part of curing, of helping people, to stand, to remember that they are somebody, and that is the repaired intimate dialogue that nourishes the memory of a greatness and dignity. A food that builds strong children and repairs broken adults. I welcome failure as well as success. I surround myself with thinkers and poets who know the transformative power of collective Kasala language. So the idea here is that as a human being, you must put yourself in positive environments, live with people who inspire you, who help you, and whom you help as well, because it's reciprocal. It goes, we support each other. Um, and I think you have understood so far that one central idea in the Kasala is the idea of sharing. We are not alone. We are sharing our experiences, our wealth, our presence, our love, and so on. The world from north to south is a battlefield strewn with obstacles. It, it shelters sorcerers and opportunists. Uh,
Opportunists. Thirsty.
Opportunists, yeah, thirsty for profit and disguised as friends. To know how to live is to resist relentless attacks, to avoid unpleasant surprises, to rise again when one falls, to strive to neutralize the sorcerer within ourselves. There's a consciousness that we host a sorcerer and an angel. So we are required, we are invited to neutralize the sorcerer and to encourage the angel constantly. And we must be aware that these two cohabit in us. So there's a conception of man, which is constantly repeated. To educate is to accompany the child and make them aware of the world's complexity, to prepare them for vigilance, to prepare them to use their toolbox to love them. The idea here is that when we are born, we don't come bare-handed. We come with tools, who help us, which help us to travel through life, and we must learn how to use those tools. And those tools are, for instance, our hands, our head, our body, our legs, and so on. So the Kasala reminds us constantly that we are equipped of these tools and that we must use them. We have the freedom to use them. So all my gratitude to my adversaries or rivals who strengthen me without knowing it. So you understand why there's a Kasala for my enemies or adversaries, because they are actually people who help me unknowingly, without knowing it. They make me stronger. So I have gratitude towards them. Yet, may God protect me from treacherous sorcerers and other hooded enemies. Of course, I must be careful, not just to believe that, everybody is there to help me and so on. So I must protect myself at the same time. So this is, you have here a couple of sort of kasalas. There are perhaps 30 different kasalas. But the most frequent ones are those who express wonderment in front of life as a phenomenon, as a mystical phenomenon. And it is a way of celebrating life through children, through nature, and so on. So just try to answer your question about the types of kasala there is, and I must tell you that of course you'll find these kind of things elsewhere, but in Africa it's a real, in traditional Africa, it's a real institution, celebrating the person, celebrating life, and expressing gratitude. Every day when I wake up, I'm full of gratitude for the chance of meeting, of seeing the people I love, of the chance of perhaps meeting new people, the chance of seeing new eyes, or eyes I've been seeing already, because we are taught that God, when creating man, he put his genius in the creation of eyes. So having to be given a chance to admire eyes is, of course, very good for a human being. So, do you have other questions or
Yes,
remarks?
thank you, thank you. This is so rich, Jean, and I think something for the world to learn. How do we hold reverence inside of us? How do we attribute the sacred to the sacred? How do we articulate that? What is the form? I think Kasala is, for me, it's directional because we've been talking about these subjects of being reverent, of the sacred, but this artful form, which is so close to the form of human beings,
Yes.
that's something which uh, mostly is found missing in cultures. I think some of the ancient cultures have been able to tap into a lot of science, a lot of astronomy, a lot of knowledge of the earth because of the manner in which that sacred has been given its due. So, of course, from Africa, this is bound to be revealed to the world. But in your journeys, have you witnessed anything similar in other cultures as well, where that narrative is stitched together in a way that it humbles somebody when they read it. It makes them understand it, even if it's not in a tender state of its being, even if it's in a harsh state, that also has relevance. And I believe Kasala communicates that as well. So have you been able to come across something similar in other cultures as well?
Um, of course, celebration is common to all human beings. Um, and I've even found very interesting examples in texts from the Middle East, even in texts from, in the Mahabharata, for instance. Uh, there are many moments where heroes are boasting, actually, using self-praise and so on. And around the world, you find texts in which heroes, kings, or queens are celebrated.
Mm.
Um, for instance, there are legends of the Buddha that tell that when he was born, he made 7 steps and praised himself, saying that he was the last incarnation, and so on. And such things you find in different places, not as much as in Black Africa, but there exist. You can find them. Um, but the big difference that make it uh, ac- actually uh, qui le rend exceptional to Africa, should I say, is the fact that in other places around the world, it is only kings or queens or gods who are praised and who can praise themselves. In Africa, everybody is allowed to praise themselves and everybody can be praised. Even small children are praised. If I want to obtain a service from my daughter or so, I won't say, Julia, bring me this. No, I'll say, Julia, mother of this and that, the
Yes.
one who is. So, will you bring me this? You see? And we are always, all the time, reminding the person that he is more than just his
Oh,
appearance. You know, there's something behind it. You know, it's a joy. I discovered it, I myself, as a joy being in interaction in Africa because constantly you were recognized as a special being. You know, it is in Africa a real institution. No, it used to be so. Of course, Africa is also now exposed to internet and TikTok and so on, and young people in our cities are losing something so important. But I'm doing my best, and I've got now very many people around me, not only here in Canada, but also in Belgium, in France, in the Netherlands, and in Senegal, in Congo. We're trying to develop to disseminate what we call uh, contemporary Kasala, which is characterized by the use of the writing. We create our texts in writing. You know, our situation is not exactly the same as that of our ancestors. So we write our texts and then we read them, but we can learn them also. We can memorize them, but it's not compulsory. People in the old traditions, they have got a trained memory to, to retain the text. It's not our case, but the most important thing is that we do this more and more, and we have more and more success, especially for the types of the Kasala that celebrate important rituals such as funerals. So people here in Canada or in Europe begin now to recite Kasalas at funerals. That's something, you know, it's a very different, you know, way of accompanying the people who has died and of sustaining, you know, helping the people who remain, you know. It's for the weddings, for the children who receive new names and so on. There are different occasions where this African tradition is being disseminated, you know, in the community.
that is beautiful, Jean.
Mhm.
Okay, so I want to also understand that the contemporary form of Kasala, is it accompanied with music or is it accompanied with any kind of a group chanting or enunciation? Is that something that's a little technical in terms of the form of Kasala, but I'd love to know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
very often. First of all, it's a rhythm. It's a
Mhm.
rhythmic text. It's a rhythmic language. Ta 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 of ta 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 and so on. And very often it's accompanied by percussion
Mhm.
uh, or marimba uh, and um, what happens also the flute also
Mhm.
in Rwanda. It's accompanied by Rwanda. And one very striking thing is that you find it almost in all African society. I've taken the habit of calling it Kasala, but of course it has different names according to the countries. In South Africa, they call it Isibongo. In Nigeria, they call it Oriki, and so on. But I use the word Kasala for all these forms because it's fundamentally the same. You see?
Mhm.
So it is very often accompanied with percussion, you know, and music is used when the poet stops. He can speak 3 minutes, but sometimes he will stop a few minutes, and that moment, music will be played and so on. But they go very often together.
Amazing. All right. So, what would you recommend for somebody who wants to learn, let's say, the contemporary Kasala? What are some of the starting steps? What should one understand to be able to craft a Kasala?
Well, we are waiting for you. We give classes on the internet,
Uh-huh.
and we organize very many sessions,
Okay, fantastic.
and people follow us on the internet,
Mhm.
and we also have books. So far, they are in French, but somebody has started translating one book in the Arabic, and we ourselves will start translating them in English now. Yeah,
And how
and
about the sessions that you do online? Do you do sessions online? Are those in English as well, or are they in French?
so far they are in French,
Okay.
but well, we hope some of these days we'll start giving them in English. We have some collaborators whose mother tongue is English, so we hope we can do so. Anyway, it's important, to give the classes in English because, especially here in North America, most of the people speak English, so I have to learn English to perfect it, and also to be surrounded by people who speak English to be able to use it, yeah, for the trainings.
Oh. So before I open the floor for Q&A and discussions and reflections and impressions, Jean, anything that you'd like to share with us before we get everybody else in to share their views? Any last words about Kasala that we should know?
Yes. Something you should know uh, is that the Kasala is actually a love letter. A love letter you send the other person, but which you can send yourself as well. The Kasala is um, a moment of a moment when you give the good news. The word is used to giving us negative news all the time. But the Kasala is a chance, is a moment when we allow ourselves to give the good news about our fellow, men or women, and also about ourselves. In the Kasala, you are allowed to praise yourself. But when you praise yourself, it's not really, it doesn't limit itself to what you are. It's much bigger than yourself. You celebrate a bigger self
Yeah.
than the small I you are. So that's an amazing experience that actually there's something bigger in you, around you. And from time to time, you stop to celebrate it. you wait for it to join you. This makes you, it's an experience, so great that death doesn't matter anymore.
This is enriching. Just learning about Kasala is
Yeah.
enriching. I wonder what happens when we start training ourselves on it. So I think, Jean, we can have everybody come up with their comments and impressions now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you. Susie, Stella, you had your hand up, and then maybe San had his hand up as well. Yeah.
John, thank you so much for this enlightening classroom. It's like listening to you of the journey of the Kasala and this love story, this love letter. I'm in South Africa. I'm in Hogsback, which is in the middle of the forest. And it really has been I haven't had a tribe or the guidance of Kasala in my personal life come naturally. I wrote down here, it's been my journey of, where did I even write it? Oh my gosh, it's the journey, it's the experience, and it is creation. Like literally, I feel this Kasala, like, I haven't heard it so clearly. I haven't felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Embodiment, like I'm feeling, I'm emotional, like I'm feeling. So thank you for bringing it to life, even though it's been the unknown.
Thank you.
And it's really, really beautiful. The journey of the love letter to self, to be able to overflow, to be for others, is all I know. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Oh, Susie, it is stirring, but you can't make everybody else cry. Thank you for that. San, your turn. San had something to say. Right, maybe he's away. Anybody else?
I think, Gavin, did you have your hand up a while back?
Yes, I did. I was pondering whether to follow through with that or not. But Jean, I guess I just wanted your insight. I guess something you said just really struck me as kind of a karmic and historical and spiritual. I don't know even the right word. Just something that really just stood out for me. That if in the African culture the such a core practice is to remind others of their own magnificence and to really to really own each of our specialness and that it belongs to all of us. The historical I guess karmic fate of Africans to be totally put down and to be told how not special and how little they are seems incredibly startling. Deep punishment for a deep virtue sort of thing. And I'm just curious what your perspective on that is, and how, why even historically and through fate and divinity that happened, and what was that as a just a happening in the world, I guess, and in your own life, when you carried that back to Europe, how did those two things interrelate? And it just seems really startling.
Yeah. And it shows us how the human being has been broken, destroyed. But there's no fatality. It's the Kasalla tells us that we can be restored. We can be regenerated, and that we can regain our strength, our beauty, and that's not restricted to the Black people, so to the human being, because we, all of us, more or less, we've been broken. So, but we have a chance of catching up with what we are, and uh, that that's why it was so important for me to open this art to other people, to other civilization. How can a Chinese, a Japanese, a German, repair themselves, thanks to this form of art from Africa? How can Africans themselves, help themselves thanks to this thing that belongs to their culture, and how can we recognize each other? How can we meet with each other as human beings, through this form of art that helps us to look for beauty constantly, despite the existing ugliness around us,
Brilliant. Stella, you got your hand up. Yeah, all right. Go on.
I just want to say thank you as an 11th generation white South African who has nowhere to go. Europe will not have me. I'm African.
Yeah.
And what I want to say thank you for is this gift of inclusiveness.
Mm-hmm.
What you are offering us today is unity and wholeness, inclusiveness. And what I love about, Gavin, what you brought up about the sort of karmic, it is the gift of the Black person
Mm-hmm.
to offer unity and inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Despite the rejection that we did, and I honestly, I think I'm a brown person inside a white body, but that's a whole different conversation. But what
Yeah.
you are offering us is the gift of a Black person who says, I will include you.
Yeah.
Despite how you rejected me, I will include you.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful, beautiful thing to be part of. Thank you
Yeah.
for unity and inclusiveness through this art form. And that's the last thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Art
Yeah.
is the way. Art is the
Yeah.
way. Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, I make a strange, very interesting experience here is that I've been doing this for 30 years now, and there are white people here in Canada or in Europe who do it better than I myself. That's fantastic, Uh, so it really show that we as people can meet, can share fundamental things, and that this gives hope for the future. This gives very much hope. It's possible to live otherwise than we've been doing for centuries.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you so much. I think you gave us the treatment for this desecration that's been taking place for a very long time in different parts of the world and at different times. There's a collective weight of that trauma that we refer to as intergenerational trauma. But the weight of that trauma that the earth and the generations bear, art is the way, and celebration is the way. Holding these multiple lenses to define ourselves, our situations, and each other, that is the way. And all housed in Kasalla. Thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful hour.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Jean and Arti. I'm going to stop the recording quickly.